hapon, taga Mindanao. Good afternoon, taga Mindanao. And welcome to the second leg of our zonal public online consultation. My name is Margaret from the Legal Education Board, and I am your host for this afternoon's public online consultation engagement. To formally open our program, may I ask everyone to please bow down your heads as we begin with our opening prayer to be followed by our national
Our Heavenly Father, the fount of all goodness and grace, the cause of wisdom, the source of intelligence, we welcome you, O Lord, to this auspicious gathering of your beloved, who continuously give you thanks for every opportunity to learn something new and become fruitful to the works of your creation. We humbly come to you, not because we are worthy, but because we find ourselves in need of you, who is our strength and our hope, to continue despite the challenges we face in health, prosperity, and our solidarity with one another. We pray that today's gathering, made possible by the grace of advancements in technology and social media, becomes successful in its endeavors, so we can offer it back to you as our humble offering to honor you, glorify you, and love you through our deeper connection with everyone. May we find bliss in today's session and become more productive children and co-creators of the earth. This we ask and pray through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang mag-ibig, ewas ang sinakanan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa mandulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mong pagaw, ay hinatang tulang awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan ang may di magtitingin. Luman ang araw ng walhabing pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya na pagkay mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
To start things off, we would like to thank you all for gracing us your time to be with us in this event. Let us acknowledge the presence of our esteemed commissioners. Commissioner Lorenzo R. Reyes, Commissioner Josefe C. Serrera T., Commissioner Salex Espinosa Alibogha, and Commissioner Alexander D. Dumpa. To everyone here, to our most valued deans and representatives in Mindanao region, to our notable guests and our beloved stakeholders, this event is to listen to you and gather your comments as well as your input regarding the two policy initiatives, the National Legal Education Research Agenda and the Ladderized Juris Doctor Master of Legal Studies program. We commence our program this afternoon by reading to you our house rules to have an orderly public online consultation engagement. Firstly, we advise everyone to kindly sit upright Turn on your videos and mute your microphone when not speaking during the consultation. All participants are also enjoined to kindly observe order and courtesy at all times. Use the raise hand feature in Zoom to ask questions, comments, and/or feedback during the open forum. Or you may send ahead your questions, comment, and/or feedback in the Zoom chat box. And finally, we also ask everyone to kindly stay present, stay focused, and participative during this public online consultation. We remind everyone that this is being recorded and filed under a Media and Communications unit. In any case you have the need to have a copy, please let us know so we can process your request. Now we're all set. May I ask everyone to click the heart emoticon in our Zoom as we hear the welcome message from our lovely chairperson, Anna Marie Melanie B.
To the law deans and administrators and other stakeholders, as well as LEB officials and staff present in this consultation, good afternoon. The vision and mission of the Legal Education Board to continually improve legal education throughout the country requires relevant and meaningful policies that cater to the needs of each of the agency's stakeholders. These policies serve as a framework for ensuring that the demands of the legal education community are met. The legal education community, on the other hand, faces many challenges, and it is vital that we work together to find measures that resolve rather than complicate them. The LEB is in the process of introducing several advancements that will ensure that our policies will stay relevant in these ever-changing times. Our proposals are responses to the call for an empirical and analytical policymaking and the innate need for recognition. On top of the agenda is the National Legal Research Agenda, which aims to encourage the development of legal research in the legal education and professional community, and provide an avenue for greater participation of legal scholars in nation building. Then we are also proposing a new law program, the Ladderized Juris Doctor program. Through the years, we have realized that there are legal and justice issues that may be served by persons trained in the law who may not necessarily have been admitted to the practice of law in the Philippines. These persons could enroll themselves in a law program so that they could eventually acquire the legal knowledge and necessary skills that could serve them best in their professional arena. For the students, however, who have enrolled in a law program with the ultimate goal of obtaining a roll of attorney number, the Ladderized JD program will provide them with a more holistic human development before earning a degree. Either category of students will acquire better opportunities for professional development. These consultations provide a platform for our stakeholders to voice their concerns, make suggestions, and provide feedback on the proposed policies. Your input is truly valuable and will help shape the future of the legal education system. Certainly one which would be in harmony with the mission and vision of the Legal Education Board. Thank you, and once again, good afternoon to each of you.
Indeed, everyone's feedback this afternoon is valuable. Thank you for those welcome remarks, Chairperson Melanie. At this point, we will now hear the presentation on the first policy proposal, which is the National Legal Education Research Agenda. This will be presented by Mr. Gabriel R. Thomas, the head of the Standards Development Unit of the Legal Education Board. Sir Thomas, you may now start your presentation.
Thank you, Marga. to Chairperson Melanie, to our esteemed commissioners, to our deans, partners, and stakeholders, a pleasant afternoon to you all. If you can remember, during the previous months, we here in the Standards Development and Regulatory Office had sent two of its policy initiatives for your comment. I am here to discuss one of those initiatives, the National Legal Research Agenda. First things first, let me give you a brief overview of my discussion. Next slide, please. First, we will tackle the question, what is the NLERA? This will be followed by its rationale and basis, and then we will go to the meat of our discussion, the priority research area themes. These are the themes identified by key partners and stakeholders of the Legal Education Board as the main areas for research. This include legal education and legal education management, doctrinal research, disciplinary research, interdisciplinary research. At the latter half of my presentation, we will discuss the provisions of the NLERA that tackle the standards for ethical research and funding, and in conclusion, I will provide my summary after. Next slide. So going to the question, what is the NLERA? Put simply, the National Legal Research Agenda is an initiative of the Legal Education Board that sets as the framework to guide, harness, foster legal education research and scholarship in the country. The LEB, through the NLERA, wishes to promote, formulate, and recommend the development of plans, policies, priorities, and programs that encourage the furtherance of legal education and legal research. This is also to obtain the involvement of researchers and legal academia and to provide grants and capacity building for legal scholarship. You may notice that similar to other national educational government agencies or NGAs, the LEB recognizes the value of empirical and rigorous research. Aside from supporting the individual endeavors seeking to conduct and thus expand legal research, it is the LEB's hope that the NLERA will also aid in the creation of a solid foundation for the formulation, implementation, and evaluation of any policy in fulfillment of the LEB statutory mandate. Next slide. Going now to the main focus of our discussion is the designated priority research areas themes. As discussed earlier, we have 5 research themes. First and foremost is legal education and legal education management. These faces the questions on the standards of legal education, issues of educational leadership, educational rights, and professional preparation. Next slide. Here you may see a table wherein the LEB has identified key areas upon which the main research area themes falls under and a whole host of subtopics that you may also review. Now, for the purpose of this public consultation, you may add or recommend further topics for study. Among the areas identified here is teaching methods in legal education, licensure examination performance and preparation, law school management, stakeholder welfare, academic freedom and educational rights, admissions assessment, quality assurance, and curricular studies, leadership development of students. Again, we wish to hear your input should you want additional topics and areas for research. Next slide. Thereafter, we have doctrinal research. This research covers subject-based legal research on any of the topical divisions of the law with a focus on doctrinal restatement or recasting. Next slide. Here we see some of the more familiar subjects that our law students encounter within the law program. Contained with it, our main areas identified are constitutional and political law and jurisprudence, social legislation and jurisprudence, criminal law and jurisprudence, civil law and jurisprudence, commercial law and jurisprudence, public and private international law and cases, legal ethics, rules and jurisprudence, remedial and procedural law and jurisprudence, Sharia and Islamic law and jurisprudence, and laws of indigenous cultural communities. Next slide. There we have disciplinary research. This involves research on law as a discipline outside of professional writing, which may cover policy analysis, a test of legal proposition about society, economy, or the human experience, assessment of legal systems and institutions, critical, comparative, and historical inquiries, and the philosophy of law. Next slide. Again, we have identified key areas upon which disciplinary research falls under. This includes industry-related ethical formation and professional alignment, legal scholarship, legal philosophy and legal thinking, judicial administration and management, and legal history. Let me reiterate that you may, through these consultations or through your written submission, choose to expand or add similar topics for this area of research. Next slide. Next is interdisciplinary research. This involves studies that approach both legal and non-legal questions that involve the law and other disciplines, either as separate disciplines or through the integration of scientific methods into legal thinking. Next slide. Here we find traditional topics, which also tries to align itself with other educational research and research agendas from other government agencies. You may also notice that this takes a more timely and more topical topics in search of a research agenda. This includes social legal scholarship, science, technology, and law, pandemics and other crises, studies in support of the Harmonized National Research and Development Agenda 2022 to 2028, and also studies convergent with the National Higher Education Research Agenda. Herein, we try to align the NLERA with other educational efforts from other educational government agencies. Next slide. For the latter part of the NLERA, we have two provisions covering the standards for ethical research and the funding for support and scholarship. For ethical research, we ask that LEIs ensure that all legal research in their institutions shall be conducted through the strict standards of ethical research. Ethical legal research shall be promoted either through the establishment of an institutional research ethics board or a research ethics compliance process. And lastly, for the funding, the NLERA shall guide the LEB and other institutions in the provision of support and funding for legal scholarship. Simply put, this means when resources are readily available, the LEB may support individual research studies as well as research studies from legal education institutions. In summary, the NLERA was formulated to address a specific need. This is to help guide and promote legal research. To do so, the Legal Education Board, through the interactions and communications with our stakeholders, has identified key research areas that we believe are integral for the advancement of legal research and legal education as a whole. The NLERA, we believe, is a milestone in advancing these goals. We welcome your comments and recommendations in expanding and enhancing the NLERA. Thank you.
Thank you for that insightful presentation on the National Legal Education Research Agenda proposal, Sir Thomas. Our virtual floor is now open as we are now ready to accept questions, comments, and/or feedback from our stakeholders. Please click the raise hand feature in Zoom so we can acknowledge you, or you may send your questions, comments, and/or feedback through our Zoom chat box. In any case, it might be difficult to unmute yourselves and/or speak up at this moment. Together with Sir Thomas in our open forum is Ms. Blanca Maika U. Kapati, and joined by our commissioners as well. Would anyone from our deans and representatives in the Zoom room like to share their thoughts or raise their concerns and/or feedback regarding the National Legal Education Research Agenda proposal? All right, we have a Zoom chat message comment for the first proposal. For the NLERA, or the National Legal Education Research Agenda, where in the LEB mandate does it provide that the lab is to provide funding mechanisms for research and other similar efforts? May we ask the commissioners to respond on this question?
Hello, good
Hello,
afternoon.
Alex. Good afternoon.
Section 3 of Republic Act 7662 provide one of the objectives of Legal Education Board, and that is to promote research among law students and law professors. This mandate and the objectives of Legal Education Board implies a duty also to promote and provide some funding opportunities for legal education institutions, especially if they are working towards their own research paper or project. And there are other non-government organizations who are partnering with Legal Education Board. Actually, we have already on the pipeline Project Etc., who is supporting funding opportunities if there is a proposal coming from the legal education institution on the priority areas in NLERA. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Alex. A follow-up question. There is no explicit grant of authority similar to CHED, DepEd, and TESDA is given to LEB by the Legal Education Reform Act of 1993 or the Republic Act number 7662. Would any of the commissioners would like to respond on that comment? Again, there is no explicit grant of authority similar to CHED, DepEd, and TESDA is given to Legal Education Board by the Republic Act 7662 or the Legal Education Reform Act of 1993.
Marga, if I may,
Yes, Sir Thomas.
the Legal Education Board as an educational research as an educational national government agency, we believe that the LEB has its mandate in uplifting legal education. In providing and promoting research through the NLERA, we believe that those is a fulfillment of that mandate of the LEB. Now, in the LEB statute, we also have specific provisions that allow that the LEB to introduce reforms and other programs in fulfillment of its statutory mandate. However, we understand that though it may not be explicit, we think that we can revise the start of the NLERA to further emphasize this need.
Yes, Commissioner Alex. Commissioner Alex.
Margaret, as I have said, one of the objectives of legal education is to promote research competencies among law students and law professors. The pillars of educational system says that research is one of the function of an educational institution, including community outreach and scholarships. Therefore, it is implied in the power of the Legal Education Board as a regulatory body for our legal education institution to provide research as a function or a duty of any legal education institution. Thank you.
To further add to that, Marka, this is pursuant to the aim of the Legal Education Board in our country to prove, as provided in our Republic Act 7662, and it is also consistent with our mandate that the Legal Education Board shall promote legal research and scholarship in our country.
Thank you, Ma'am Maika. Now we have a raise of hand in our audience from the school, from the Father Saturnino Orius University, Attorney William Christian.
Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening. Good afternoon to all the commissioners, deans. Hi to Dean Jojo Serrarity, or former dean. My question is on where and which category does access to justice fall in the National Legal Education Research Agenda? Is My understanding is that it is part of the disciplinary research, but is it possible if the Legal Education Board can create a separate category for access to justice? Last time, I think in 2019, the Supreme Court conducted a National Legal Education Summit, and our former Dean Jojo Rarity, was part of that. And Chief Justice Hesmundo, at that time Associate Justice, highlighted that access to justice is a fundamental principle of the rule of law. And it would be based on that summit. My recommendation is that the Legal Education Board create a separate category or division for access to justice. At that time also, the Association of Law Students of the Philippines, of which I was former Secretary General, spoke with former LEB Chairperson Emerson Aquende, and we discussed how Rule 138A could be something that we can use to help government, like the Public Attorney's Office, etc. So the area for access to justice is a broad area for our law students to explore and study on, to help our government and also to maximize the benefits of the provisions of the revised law student practice rule. That's number one, on access to justice. And number two is in which category can we put or include the streamlining of government procedures? For example, here in Butuan City at Father Saturnino Orius University, our law students are tapped by the local government last time with Dean Jojo T to help our local government streamline its procedures, as well as the other national government agencies. So can we also include this topic, the streamlining of government procedures, in the National Legal Education Research Agenda, or just lump this with access to justice? Thank you.
Hello, Ms. Margaret. Can I respond, please?
Yes, please, Commissioner Salek.
Yeah, in terms of access to justice, we have social legislation and jurisprudence. This particular area in doctrinal research is not really inclusive. So thank you for your recommendation, attorney. We will be including that as item letter D for social legislation and jurisprudence. Access to justice to promote inclusivity also in the social justice and social welfare laws. With regard to streamlining administrative procedure, so it will be included also in doctrinal research on administrative law area. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Can I have one last point? Last time also, during the regional consultation of the National Legal Education Summit in 2019, I attended one of the breakout sessions in Cagayan with Dean Largo and Dean Jojo T. One of the discussions or points discussed last time I was with Justice, CA Justice in Cagayan de Oro. One of the points raised at that time was that there has to be a re-examination of the law curriculum such that it should respond to the reason or the objectives why law students enter law school in the first place. So the question is, in which category can we include perhaps a research on why students enter law school in the first place? Because if most law students don't enter law school to take the bar exams and become lawyers ultimately, then there has to be a re-examination of their objectives vis-a-vis the law curriculum so as to respond to their needs. Because basically, some students in reality, right, some of them, or if not most of them, just go to law school to be promoted, etc. This is one of the discussions during the regional consultation. So if some students, if not most of them, just go to law school to be promoted, so is it high time for us to include in our research agenda a re-examination of the whys of our students and to have that reflected in the law curriculum? Because at present, the fourth-year curriculum is for the review for the bar exam. But if we have a huge portion or a huge portion of our population going to law school, not because of the bar exam, but because they simply want to be promoted or they simply want to learn the law. Is it high time to change the curriculum for fourth year, or should we have another curriculum for students entering law schools, not for the bar exam? Thank you.
That's a very good input, Attorney William. And the first priority research area or theme on legal education and legal education management will answer your concern, particularly on licensure examination or bar examination preparation and performance. We also have law school management and admissions assessment and quality assurance and curricular studies. Your insights are very good, and legal education institutions are also encouraged to have their own research agenda that is primarily in harmony with the NLERA. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, thank you so much, Attorney De La Cruz, for those questions and input on the National Legal Education Research Agenda. We have two questions from Bukidnon State University from Dean Shereme Velos Deca. First question, can Legal Education Board provide legal research and scholarship for law faculty and law students? There is difference in doing research for law practice and legal academic paper or scholarly paper. Again, the first question is, can Legal Education Board provide...
Miss Margaret, the question was, can Legal Education Board provide training?
Okay, thank you for that clarification, Dean. Can Legal Education Board provide training for legal research and scholarship for law faculty and law students? There is difference in doing research for law practice and legal academic paper or scholarly paper.
I'll respond, Margaret. Thank you, Dean Sherime. Yes, it's already in the pipeline. In addition to the Legal Education Advancement Program that we have initiated with the University of the Philippines, some of the law professors also participated in legal scholarship training. However, with regard to your query on capability building for law professors and law faculty, yes, it is already in our pipeline. We have one non-government organization who will be providing funding for capability training programs for law faculty and law students, and that is Project etc. So we will be informing you of this timeline for research capability training, which may include, of course, publication in index papers. Thank you.
Hi, Marga. May I also add to the thoughts of Commissioner Salex? The NLERA, as mentioned before, is a milestone. It is where we begin to understand and place a premium on research. That's why po Dean, now we really are aiming to provide capacity building and also training for law professors conducting research, not just for students. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you po.
For her second question, can we benchmark with international and local law schools who are able to complete legal researches and published with Scopus or indexed or peer-reviewed journals? And ask, how were they able to do it? Where did they get funds and etc.?
Okay. Thank you, Dean, for that question again. Certainly, Dean, we can engage in benchmarking opportunities with our partners, both nationally and internationally. As for funds, we are currently working towards providing better funding mechanisms to those individual and even LEI endeavors for research. As of now, we are still working on finalizing and even working to provide these funding mechanisms. Perhaps in future reiterations of the NLERA, we can provide a more expansive discussion on its funding mechanism. Thank you po.
To further add to that, Dean, the NLERA po is, yung aim po niya is to encourage the development of legal research in the legal education po and professional community and obtain the involvement po of researchers in the legal academy to. So benchmarking po talaga is one of the key factors or key areas na i-explore po natin when it comes to NLERA. So maraming salamat po.
Our next question is, suppose the NLERA is approved in its entirety. What happens next? Would there be an application process to receive funding and resources for the research LEIs undertake under the NLERA? Again, suppose the NLERA is approved in its entirety. What happens next? Would there be an application process to receive funding and resources for the research LEIs undertake under the NLERA? Commissioner Salex, please.
Yes, Margaret. After the NLERA will be approved by the board, after the consultation, there will be a public orientation on the timeline on how this NLERA will be institutionalized. Of course, there will be some capability training program for law professors and law students. And of course, as I have said a while ago, there is already one non-government organization supporting Legal Education Board for legal research and scholarship. So one of the timeline in the NLERA is to call for proposals after all capability building activities are already done. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Salex. And the next question, will the LEIs draft their own agendas aligned to the identified areas of specialization according to the revised model law curriculum then? Will the LEIs draft their own agendas, research agendas aligned to the identified areas of specialization according to the revised model law curriculum then, or RMLC?
I'll take this question, Marga. Certainly, with the NLERA, we hope to inspire a generation or actually to light a fire for a reinvigoration of research. LEIs may conduct their own divergent paths towards their own identified research topics and their own research agendas, but the NLERA simply is a framework for that path. Thank you.
All right, we encourage our deans and our representatives in their Zoom room to participate and ask questions or provide comments or feedback regarding the National Legal Education Research Agenda. So I guess this is the last question. Again, from the audience. Oh, we have Attorney Dan Valenzuela. Sir, you may unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, honorable commissioners, deans, and other participants. I'm personally excited to see this development in the law schools, no? Because I've always advocated that laws and policies are there's always a gap, no, in research work, in other disciplines, no. There's always a gap because other disciplines would always leave out policy and law. And almost always, these gaps would result to a lot of problems, no, in terms of the utilization of research, no. But this is interesting because now we're talking about research agenda in the context of law school, in the context of legal education, no? And in relation to that, the legal education management priority research areas and themes, particularly on interdisciplinary research. I noticed that there is a phrase, through the integration of scientific methods into the legal thinking. I think in order to address some gaps, as I mentioned a while ago, I think it is also important for us to consider the reverse, no? Incorporating legal policy or legal framework into scientific researches or other disciplinary researches, no? So I think it's important that we consider also not just the outward, no, from the law schools to outside of law, the legal discipline, but also the inward, no, from other disciplines, how to incorporate law and policy into other researches in other fields. So that's one comment, and the other one is I do not really know how we put premium on ethics, as we mentioned also in the proposed draft. But if we give special premium on ethics, which is, I think, to me personally, that's very important. I think we should also consider like coming up with monitoring body, ethics monitoring body that would strongly advocate also for the incorporation of ethics into researches, no, be they legal or when legal is being incorporated with other disciplines. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that input, Dean Valenzuela of St. Columbian College. Do we have other comments or questions from the participants? So I guess that is the last input that we have from Dean Valenzuela. Okay, it's just somebody unmuted. Okay, before proceeding to the next proposal, which is the Ladderized Juris Doctor Master of Legal Studies program, let's all have a 10-minute wellness break. Time check. It is now 2:11. Let's be back at 2:21. Thank you. in our country. Thank you once again for being present this afternoon. Truly, your time and dedication being here in this event is appreciated, as it surely will be beneficial for the work in progress of the legal education in our country. Here now is Ms. Blanca Maika U. Kapati, the head of the Standards Development and Regulatory Office in the Legal Education Board, as we hear her presentation on the second policy proposal, which is the Ladderized Juris Doctor Master of Legal Studies. Ms. Maika, you may now start your presentation.
Thank you, Marga. Good afternoon po, everyone. Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name po is Blanca Maika Kapati Reyes. You can call me po Maika. I am the head of the Standard Development and Regulatory Office, and I'll be discussing the proposed policy and guidelines of the Ladderized Juris Doctor Master in Legal Studies, or the JD MLS program. So let's start na po. This will be just brief yet insightful. Later, we can entertain questions naman po if there are any. So first, we need to understand what do we mean by Ladderized JD MLS program. A Ladderized JD MLS is an option for students enrolled in a law program who may be interested in the study of the law but do not necessarily aim to become licensed attorneys. Instead, they just want to acquire the legal knowledge and necessary skills in their line of work, not amounting to the practice of law. This kind of concept shall enable the expansion of legal knowledge, training, and education po in LEIs. So in sum, a student enrolled in a JD program shall earn the degree Masters of Legal Studies upon the completion of 50 units of earned academic credits within the JD curriculum. For example po, if you are offering a 135 JD degree, yung sa RMLC po natin, pag natapos po yung first 50 units, the student deemed completed his or her MLS degree. So our next slide po. So the next question po is why the Ladderized JD MLS program? So the legal education shall be constantly responsive to the needs of the students, the school providing legal education, the parties that may need legal service, and the society in general. So pursuant to our curricular freedom and innovation promoted under Section 4 of LEB Memorandum Order 24, or the Revised Model Law Curriculum, it allows legal education institution, or the LEI, kayo po, to enhance the basic law program by offering ladderized degrees. So ayan po ang next slide natin. So knowing what is JD MLS program and why it was drafted, our next step naman po is how do we implement the JD MLS? So the maximum units for LEIs offering the Ladderized JD is not more than 50 units of coursework to earn the MLS degree. Moreover po, the MLS shall require 7 units of electives from any of the mandated and non-mandated courses under the JD curriculum. You'll find for the mandated courses and the non-mandated courses in the LEB Memorandum Order 24 po. But I'll show later the mandated courses po for the MLS program. Lastly naman po, only LEIs accredited by the LEB to offer the JD program shall be allowed to offer the Ladderized JD MLS program. Hence, LEI po who wishes to offer the Ladderized JD MLS shall apply for authority with the LEB using the prescribed form. Magre-release po kami ng form as well as the guidelines for applying for the said program. Pursuant to the academic freedom, an LEI rin po may also propose a different program of study subject to the maximum units na 50 units po. In this slide po, you'll see the mandated units. The following courses under the RMLC provided in LEB Memorandum Order number 24 series of 2021 shall be considered as mandated courses for the MLS program. As you can see po, we have a total of 43 units mandated courses po for the MLS or 14 subjects all in all po, plus the additional 7 units of electives which will total po sa 50 units na maximum to cover the MLS program. Our last slide po is the retroactive application po. So graduates of JD or Bachelors of Law degree from LEB accredited programs who have an undergraduate degree prior to their entry to JD or LLB studies shall also be equally treated and considered to have earned the same ladderized MLS qualification without the need for the issuance of academic credential. In short po, prior graduates po, regardless if they are lawyers or not, are equally treated and considered to have earned the same ladderized MLS qualifications. And that's it po. Again, this is Micah. Thank you po for listening in my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Micah, for that eye-opening presentation. At this point, we entertain questions, comments, and/or feedback from our stakeholders regarding the presentation on the Ladderized Juris Doctor Master of Legal Studies program. You may use the Zoom raise hand button. We have here Attorney De La Cruz from Father Saturnino Orias University. You may unmute yourself, sir.
Hello,
Attorney.
ma'am. Good afternoon again to the honorable commissioners, Dean Jojo. Hello, everyone. My question is just the context first. Last time it was controversial when the Legal Education Board issued a memorandum order stating that the Juris Doctor degree or the LLB will be classified as a doctorate degree program. I'm not sure what happened to that previous memorandum order, the number of which I already forgot, but you're most familiar with that. Last time, the Civil Service Commission classifies LLB graduates who did not pass the bar exams for purposes of government employment as master's degree holders. Just correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not so familiar with these orders, but that's what I know previously. Second one, the Commission on Higher Education, on the other hand, considers law graduates who did not pass the bar exam as simply bachelor's degree holders. So there are inconsistencies. So civil service, if you did not pass the bar, master's degree. For CHED, if you did not pass the bar, bachelor's degree. So there's a difference in the compensation per hour for the faculty and the treatment. Now LEB has this previous order categorizing the JD program as PhD. My question now is, how do we classify or how do we consider or characterize this master's degree in legal studies within the framework of these existing rules and regulations? Do we consider that as a master's degree? Do we amend the previous LEB memorandum order on the treatment of the Juris Doctor degree? What is the take of the Legal Education Board on this? And second, the second question, first is on the treatment. How do we consider the MLS? Second is, what are the, I'm not sure if that was mentioned, but putol-putol ang signal, sorry. Basig na discussed na earlier. Second question is, what are the requirements for the faculty? Because I am sure that the Legal Education Board prescribes certain qualifications for faculty members teaching the law degree program. So insofar as the MLS is concerned, what are the requirements for a faculty member to be eligible to teach the program, which is the MLS? Thank you.
Hello, Margaret.
Yes, Commissioner Salex, you may respond.
Yes, thank you for your insight, Attorney William. The LIB memorandum stands as it is. Juris Doctor is considered as professional doctorate degree. Since the LIB is granted authority under RA 7662 to regulate legal education in the Philippines, CHED should not usurp the authority given to the Legal Education Board. CHED releases several press releases, but not in the form of a legal opinion by the Department of Justice. There is no Supreme Court ruling declaring the LEB memorandum as unconstitutional, with LEB declaring it as a professional doctorate degree. Please take note that there are different strands of doctorate degree. It can be professional doctorate degree, like Doctor of Business Administration or Doctor of Education. We have also academic doctorate degree or research academic degree like PhD that requires dissertation. In international arena, Juris Doctor is always classified as professional doctorate degree. LEB has conducted several benchmarking internationally, and the LEB memorandum classifying Juris Doctor as professional doctorate degree stands as it is, unless challenged in a Supreme Court case. Therefore, it is the stand of Legal Education Board, being the regulatory body tasked under the law to regulate legal education, to consider it as professional doctorate degree. With regard to Civil Service Commission, classifying those who passed the bar as master's degree or those who did not pass the bar as bachelor's degree, please take note we migrated already to Juris Doctor and not to Bachelor of Laws. LEB is making representation with CSE and Department of Budget and Management. We are actually meeting the DDM tomorrow to discuss our stand for reclassifying the Juris Doctor as master's degree into professional doctorate degree. For the qualifications of the faculty, since Juris Doctor is considered professional doctorate degree, therefore, all Juris Doctor graduates are capable of teaching Master in Legal Studies, since it is considered as Ladderized curriculum. When you graduate from that curriculum, you are classified as Juris Doctor degree graduate. But if you only finish the 43 mandated courses plus the 7 units elective, then an MLS degree should be granted under this proposed memorandum. Therefore, faculty members teaching in Juris Doctor is also qualified to teach MLS. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Can I have a follow-up question? So am I correct, Honorable Commissioner, in my understanding that if somebody, for example, graduates from a Juris Doctor degree and takes the MLS program, this person will be considered for purposes of employment, CSC, faculty appointment with SHED, and for the Legal Education Board as somebody who has, number one, a professional doctorate plus an academic master's degree. Is that correct?
Since Juris Doctor is already a professional doctorate degree, with the retroactive application of the law, if the legal education institution had already applied with Legal Education Board their curriculum for Master in Legal Studies, therefore, Juris Doctor degree faculty members are deemed to be MLS degree holders.
To further add to Commissioner Salix po, maraming salamat po ulit din for the question. In our Resolution 2019-406 promulgated by the Legal Education Board and the Board NPAC, it is hereby resolved po that the Juris Doctor degree shall be considered as equivalent to doctoral degrees in other non-law academic disciplines for purpose of appointment, employment, and ranking and compensation po. And for this, with regard po with that, the MLS po or JB MLS po natin is in tune with our resolution po. So as you can see po, the MLS po provides masters po inside the JB curriculum po, which shows that our JB curriculum po is really equivalent to a doctoral degree. Maraming salamat po ulit.
Sir, if the Honorable Commissioner will allow the members, just one last clarification. Currently, no, aside from the MLS, we also have our LLM Master of Laws degree from San Beda, among many other schools. We have Doctor of Civil Law from the Pontifical and Royal University of Santo Tomas. We have Doctor of Juridical Science, SJD or JSD, from the San Beda University. Question is there a specific order from LEB instructing CSC, CHED, or other institutions on how to appreciate each of these degrees for purposes of ranking? Because if somebody has all these degrees, how does LEB intend to guide, for example, the ranking committee, the personal selection board, if there is one applicant who has a JD, an applicant who has a JD MLS, or an applicant who has an LLM, or plus a DCL or JSD or SJD, do we already have existing guidelines to enlighten the personal selection board of certain universities? The context of my question is, in many occasions, I sat for the board of regents of one university in Caraga region representing our congressman, and I think one of the confusion that may arise on the part of the PSB is on how they will be giving points to these academic programs, like if we have an MLS, LLM, DCL, SJD, because if the JD is already a professional doctorate, what does that make of the LLM, the DCL, the JSD? How do we make our institutions outside of LEB appreciate each of these degrees? Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you, Attorney William. Yes, you are right. We, in the Legal Education Advancement Program Committee, is developing the quality assurance parameters. We have some ranking system already in the pipeline, and soon after this is presented to the Legal Education Board, we will be issuing a directive to that effect. So we already discussed with the committee in the Legal Education Advancement Program how the framework works. So once this is finalized by the technical working group and approved by the Legal Education Board, we will be doing some public orientation regarding the qualification standards. LEB is also trying to make representation so that legal education can be considered under the Philippine qualifications framework. Practically, we are left out in the PQF and the Asian qualification framework. We are discussing with the TWG, the Committee in Legal Education Advancement Board, how the PQF should also be realigned to include Juris Doctor under PQF 8. Which is the equivalent for doctorate degree. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And if I may add lang po with the developments mentioned by our Commissioner Alex, in our resolution 2019-406 din po, it is hereby mentioned din po that graduate law degrees such as Masters of Law, Doctors of Law, or Doctor of Juridical Science earned from graduate schools po shall also be recognized or shall be considered as additional degrees for purpose of promotion, ranking, and compensation in accordance with the rules and regulations of the agency or commission. So, yung sinabi niyo po din na additional points po siya. So, for example po, si JD degree ko considered na po siya as doctoral degree pag ranking and compensation po. And additional points po ang ibibigay dapat pag meron po silang Masters of Law or Doctor of Civil Law or Doctor of Juridical Science. So, yun po yung nakalagay po sa atin sa resolution. But as mentioned po kay Alex, we are really developing other guidelines for this. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you for that additional information. Ms. Micah, we call on Dean Dan Valenzuela. You may unmute yourself, Dean.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon again, everyone. First off, I'd like to mention that I share the same confusions that were stated in the politically correct questions of Attorney De La Cruz. It's really confusing, and I hope this can be addressed because even students have a lot of confusions on the matter of LLB being considered, JD being considered a doctoral degree, and others. But anyway, I would like also to share my 2 cents worth of reservation on the proposed policies, draft policies on the Ladderized program. This is, of course, coming from the perspective of a person of one who does not really, I don't really have any backdrop on how this proposed policies came about. this is the first time that I have actually encountered this, but may I just share offhand reservations that I've had. First off, I have a feeling that we might be unwittingly downgrading the JD program or even the Master of Laws program or the Doctor of Laws program with the reading, my own reading, my personal understanding of the draft policies. Because first, we're the presumption when students enter the law school is that they're going to pass the bar and eventually they're going to become lawyers. Okay, I'm not sure if everybody will share that presumption with me, but my own presumption is that students enter law school because they want to become lawyers and they want to pass the bar exams. Now, in the ladderized degree draft policies, it seems that we are considering those who do not have any intention of becoming lawyers to join law school and be one with the others who are bent on becoming lawyers and passing the bar exams, no? So parang ito yung lumalabas, ano? I said we might be unwittingly degrading the JD degree because, for one, there's a Bachelor of Arts in Legal Studies, a bachelor's degree. There's also a Bachelor of Legal Management degree as undergrad degrees, no? Bachelor's degrees, which are in fact used by students as credentials to enter law school and get the JD degree. Okay, and in graduate schools of law, in the law school, for example, that I attended for my LLM, there's a Master of International Legal Studies. Yung sa atin, wala lang yung international, ginawa natin Master of Legal Studies. Pero in other graduate schools of law, there is a master's degree program denominated not as an LLM, but as MILS, Master of International Legal Studies. And that's a master's program which requires the candidate to be a holder of a bachelor's degree of law, or a JD degree. Okay? So medyo may reservation ako doon. We might be unwittingly degrading the JD degree and then the LLM and JSD degrees. No, my thoughts would be, I'm also teaching in the graduate school, and I think it would be more, this is my personal opinion, it would be more appropriate if we really want the law school to have a hand on coming up with a Master of Legal Studies. Why don't we just allow the graduate school to handle the master's program, and the cognates leading to the legal studies discipline can be handled by the law school if we really want, quality teaching in terms of, law and everything. No? Or maybe the ladderized program is more appropriate in the undergrad Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science degrees, ladderized towards the Master in Legal Studies. But not in the law school, not in the JD degree. Kasi yung JD, di ba nga, doctoral degree na nga ang although confusing pa rin siya. But if we do that, in consideration of those, kasi ito yung parang nakuha ko dun sa presentation, na in consideration of those who don't really intend to become lawyers, who don't intend to take the bar, but only want to go to law school for promotion purposes. Diba? So, I mean, baka mamaya magkaroon na ng muddled na consideration kung for these particular students na ayaw magkuha ng bar, or for these students who are really bent on becoming lawyers. Unless we separate them as a separate section. Diba? So yun lang yung mga reservations. Again, let me just clarify. This is coming from a perspective na the first time kong nakita ito, and I don't really have any inkling on how these policies came about, these proposals came about. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Consultation.
very much, Dean Valenzuela. So I'm acknowledging my mentor in law school, Dean Dan Valenzuela. So your insights and input are well appreciated. We will try to echo this to the board in bank and further rationalize this ladderized program. This has come up because there are so many suggestions as well as recommendations from other legal education institutions for some students who could not finish law school. So to give them also a reward or justice for studying law and rationalize some of the ample units that they have earned in law school. Okay, so the board in bank has formulated through consultations also with some schools who already have the Master in Legal Studies program. So your insights and input are well appreciated. We will echo this in the board in bank meeting to further justify and rationalize the program. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Dean Valenzuela and Commissioner Salex. We have another question. Does the legal education institutions offer or can offer thesis in the MLS program? Or do we add thesis on the MLS program?
Good afternoon. I'll take this answer po. Thank you for that question. In our proposed guideline po, Section 9 and LEI may require a thesis or a comparative capstone project for the MLS degree in lieu of all other required electives po. So it is within the academic freedom of LEIs po if they would like to add thesis or similar studies in our MLS po.
Thank you for that, Ma'am Micah. May we acknowledge the comment from Attorney Marcus or Dean Marcus. Notwithstanding the pronouncement of the Legal Education Board on the matter, the state universities and colleges in applying NBC 461 do not give the full 85 points assigned to PhDs for regular faculty of law schools who are member of the Philippine Bar. We hope CHED and LEB can jointly address this matter.
Thank you, Dean, for the question. Regarding this, we are in the process of further coordinating with CHED and for further finalizing our guidelines as well with regards to this matter. Indeed, this has been a perennial question for a number of years now, and we are seeking immediate remedy po talaga para ma-address din po yung mga nasa mga SUCs. As also mentioned din by Comsalex, we have other issuances in our pipeline din po to address further confusions on this matter. Thank you.
Rest assured po that the Legal Education Board po is taking all comments to ensure that the concerns of our LEIs are met and answered naman po. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Dean Marcus, for that comment from Western Mindanao State University. Another question is, may we know the rationality on the selection of the 14 mandated subjects on the MLS program? May we know the rationality on the selection of the 14 mandated subjects on the Masters in Legal Studies program?
Thank you for that question. With regards naman po sa mandated subject ng MLS, the 14 subjects po are the basic subjects in our RMLC being offered in the first year and second year of the program po. Hence, the MLS took those basic subjects as a requirement and are as mandated subjects.
Okay, may we add, oh, we have a raised hand of from Bukidnon State University, Dean Sharamay.
Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. To the commissioners of the Legal Education Board, good afternoon po. In connection to Dean Dan Valenzuela's question earlier, there is the concern of degrading the JD as a program. I would like to add that there is a concern on the giving of grades because for masters, there is a grade requirement not below 2.0. So we should give them 1.0 to 2.0 for them to be considered as passed in their masters. So if that is the case, would that affect our grading system for the JD? So we are used in law school to give 2.5, 2.25 or lesser, especially on the first years that have not adjusted to law school. So that is one question or concern. If we should follow the rules on masters in other graduate programs requiring 2.0 as stress or as the least grade to be given for masters. And then second, if they were able to pass or finish masters on legal studies, would that be enough for them to be able to apply for PhD or for doctorate program? So from Masters on Legal Studies, will they be able to apply for another or higher program for doctorate? So, I've researched on MLS and international law schools, Pepperdine University, other law schools in the US offers Masters in Legal Studies before they can take JD. So that is one consideration that we can benchmark on and see how international law schools consider MLS. And then also, if this program will be pushed through, for the state universities and colleges with law schools, we are required by the commissioners or the chairman of our BOR to ask for resolutions or BOR approval from other law schools that were able to implement or apply MLS. And before we can apply it on our own law school. So that would be one difficulty, one concern, that we cannot apply it now if we will be waiting for the other law schools to implement them first, or for their law schools to be approved, MLS approved by their law schools, before the state universities with law schools can apply can implement MLS on our own law schools. So I hope there will be answers on those concerns. Thank you.
Hello po. Good afternoon po ulit. As mentioned po earlier, the LEB will formulate the implementing rules and guidelines po, guidelines and regulations po with regards sa ating MLS-JP program. So after the approval of the PSG, dito we will also release the implementing rules and regulations regarding this, as well as the forms po and applications and processes po ng ating bagong curriculum. So rest assured po din na the board will really look into it and will look on all your concerns and comments po to answer those. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you.
At this point, would like to acknowledge Commissioner Alexander Dumpa.
Hi, Miss Margaret. I would like to answer the first question regarding the 2.5 grade threshold. As it now stands po, no such requirement of grade threshold is required under the JD-MLS program. This is part of the LAB's recognition and respect of the academic freedom of law schools po. Thank you po.
Thank you, Commissioner Alex. And for our next question, will prior graduates be issued an MLS diploma? Will prior graduates be issued an MLS diploma? May we ask the commissioners to please?
May I answer the question? Under the JD MLS program, right now po, wala pang obligation yung law schools to issue the credentials, but there is also no prohibition on the part of law students or graduates, prior graduates, to request their law schools to issue such credentials po.
Thank you for that question then, and if I may add po from what Commissioner Dumpa has said po, so the said inquiry po is also going to be deliberated by the board po, and rest assured that we will also include that po on our release guidelines. Maraming salamat po.
All right, I think this is the last question for the Ladderized Juris Doctor Master of Legal Studies program proposal. What are the qualifications for a school to apply to LEB for the JD MLS program?
Thank you for that question po. After the approval po of the PSG, we will release po the implementing rules and regulations po. Pero as you can see po sa ating PSG po ngayon sa ating JD MLS, ang makikita po natin dyan is that the school should be RMLC compliant because the said JD MLS program is in tune po with the RMLC. So maraming salamat po.
Again, we encourage others to submit their written output as your influence could help mold the legal education of our country to a bolder future. We have come to an end of this public online consultation engagement today for the Mindanao League. We will now watch a video message from our Commissioner Josefe Herrera T to bring this engagement to its conclusion.
Good afternoon, everyone. As the time changes, so does the way we live our daily lives. In legal education, we also see many changes. We saw the introduction of the Clinical Legal Education Program in 2019. In 2020, the pandemic encouraged us to transition into online learning and hybrid learning. In 2021, we worked for the revised model law curriculum, and in 2022, we started the conversation on the Ladderized Juris Doctor Master of Legal Studies program and the National Legal Education Research Agenda. Education is the foundation on which our country is built. It is through education that Filipinos reach their full potential, both as productive members of the society and as responsible and principled citizens. Our consultation today is our contribution in ensuring that legal education will be able to accomplish its purpose of training students for democratic governance and to participate actively in nation building. On behalf of the Legal Education Board, I would like to thank all of you for your generosity in sharing your time and wisdom. Your participation today is a great contribution to the fulfillment of the constitutional mandate to protect and promote the right of all Filipinos to quality education at all levels and to make education accessible to all. Thank you.
Thank you to Commissioner Jojo. We are truly inspired by the wisdom shared by everyone this afternoon with regard to the two proposed policies. Everyone's presence, dedication, and effort surely contributed in reshaping our legal education as we work in progress and move forward in unison with the judiciary's battle cries on innovation. Before we leave the Zoom meeting room, may we ask everyone to please open their cameras as we document our event this afternoon. We have 2 pages at this time. Please show the most beautiful smile you got. Okay, we're waiting for Ateneo de Zamboanga University and Sultan Kudarat State University. All right. All right. So, screen 1, ready, set, 1, 2, 3. Okay, hold your smiles, please. Screen 2, ready, set, 1, 2, 3. All right, so thank you so much, everyone. This has been Margaret again, and see you around. God bless everyone.